Hey, it's Mateo of Two Brain Marketing. On this edition of the Two Brain Marketing Podcast, I'm talking with David from Rapid Fit KC. You'll learn about his approach to selling high-ticket packages and personal training. You'll learn about his unique approach to the 90-day front-end offer, and you'll also learn how he spent $500 on ads and generated $6,000 in front-end sales. So you don't want to miss this. Make sure to subscribe to Two Brain Radio for more marketing tips and secrets each week. Hello and welcome to the Two Brain Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Mateo Lopez. I'm one of the digital marketing mentors at Two Brain Business. Thanks for joining us. This is your weekly dose of digital marketing magic. Every week, we'll go over marketing campaign strategies, useful tips, and updates to keep you in the loop on advertising online for your business. And in today's episode, special guest David Oquendo, owner of Rapid Fit KC. You're going to learn about his experience and how he's able to spend around $500 to $600 a month on online ads and generates $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 in front-end sales. So David, how are you?
Great, and you?
I'm great, man. So for those tuning in, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and a little bit about your business.
From Kansas City, we own Rapid Fit KC. It's a personal training, group training studio. We aren't a CrossFit affiliate. So that's kind of one of the biggest differences that's been between us and I would say most people. But at the same time, it's very, very similar in what we do, just a little bit less barbells.
Awesome. Yeah, tell me about that. How do you balance the personal training and the group fitness? How does that work?
So pre-Two Brain, it was kind of just a mix and just kind of total chaos. I only talked to people about personal training that came in and requested it, and I only talked to a group about group that came in and requested it. And I remember, the biggest thing I would say, we did gym launch actually before, so I had somewhat of an idea about the marketing, but it was really built, gym launch is built to provide a massive amount of people, naturally quality, and that wouldn't help my team be successful. That would just help me be successful. And so when I opened up the gym, my whole thing was how did my team be successful and not just be me. And so Two Brain was talking about, doing PT first. And I was thinking to myself, we started doing pretty good with it. I started understanding it. And I was like, man, why am I allowing people to come into this gym without having one-on-one individual coaching? I'm paying for it with Two Brain's mentoring, and I'm getting great results out of it. So why would I allow other people who should be getting it to come in and not have a good amount of foundation built on it? And that's kind of what we started doing. So now it's like, hey, you want to come in here, PT only, and that's it. And not to take away from the group or anything like that. I just know that if I really get them a good foundation, they're going to be way better off in the long run, which is the whole goal behind what we're trying to do anyways, is help people longevity-wise health. So
tell me a little about that. How long has your gym been open?
3.5 years.
And so were you only offering group before, or it was?
No, we did with the hybrid model when we first came in. It just wasn't the focus. So
I see. So you were basically saying you weren't telling people what to do, or you weren't prescribing a solution.
Nope.
It's just someone came in, I'm interested in personal training. Great, I'm going to sell you that. Or I was like, I'm interested in group. Great, I'm going to sell you that.
Exactly.
And then with the gym launch method, it was just a buttload of people coming in, and you're kind of having to filter through all that yourself. And okay, all right. So then what motivated you then to seek out mentorship with Two Brain, or a different kind of a different perspective?
Actually, David Pope, CrossFit Northland, he used to train here before he got the opportunity to buy out CrossFit Northland from the previous owners, and he had kind of shown me the book. So I had read the book, and then he had told me that he had started with them and that he did enjoy it. I just kind of got to a point where I was like, we're doing really well, or we're doing decent, I should say. And then it was all my fault. We lost like 16 grand because I wasn't paying attention to the systems and stuff like that. Like I remember looking at it, but like October, I go, holy crap, there's $16,000 missing. And I was like, okay, I have to do something about this. This is not going to go good for us. And another person's like, owning a business, it's not just for you. You are supporting everybody else underneath you. So you close down, all those people feel it. It's not just you. And so I was like, crap, I need to do something about this. And then that's when I joined Two Brain.
And then was that kind of one of the first things you work on in the incubator is like the mission and values, for your businesses. And so was that something that you kind of discovered or you worked through in doing the incubator, or is this something where you're like, that was originally why you opened the gym and you lost sight of that, and then you were kind of coming back to?
Actually, we had a client that dealt with that kind of walked me through that a little bit. So I kind of had an idea of what I wanted. It's changed and morphed. The more I got into Two Brains, the more I understand it. And it's even a little bit different than the very, very first started. So the mission, it helped clarify. I already had a little bit of it. It helped clarify it. And then it helped me, I would say, reach deeper into it after a while and say, okay, this is really what we do.
And what is it that you do?
So my thing was and this kind of goes back to my story, is when I first started working out, it was to gain confidence. It doesn't even matter about health. And in general, health is super important, but sometimes it's not the first thing you do to get going. And so confidence not only gives you the ability, in a sense, to, I would say, walk into a room with your head held high, but to live life and do other things you may not do. So people tend to hide away the less confident they are, or they don't do certain things. They're not confident. They don't have the confidence to do it. And so my idea was I love the fact that I can help someone that walks in the room with their head down, not looking anybody in the eye, and then 4 to 6 months later, walk in, held high, and they're telling me about how they're about to do this triathlon, and they were so scared to do it. 60 years ago they wanted to do it, or 3 years ago they wanted to do it, but they just couldn't do it, and now they're finally doing it. So our goal is to help people live healthy, happy, and more confident lives.
That's awesome, man. That's great. And so awesome. So, okay. So you had a friend who was kind of knew about Two Brain, was showing you the books. You read the books. You signed up for mentorship. What else did you see as a big change for you in your business as you're working through this? I know we were talking about before we hopped on this call. Sounds like the way you were offering your services was something that you had to change. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So, that was, the prescriptive model was just something that, they definitely installed and said, hey, look, you should be doing this. And then, after a while, it was like, I'm right. I'm paying Two Brain to help me and guide me. And that's exactly the reason why I got them. And so knowing that most people needed some attention up front to really be successful, and that's probably the biggest thing that's changed. And then putting in what system and processes, what people are supposed to do, how they're supposed to do them. We're mainly PTs, so it's not as big of a difference. The way that we run things, they're kind of, everybody, luckily I work with are phenomenal. So their goal is to do the best that they can. So it really hasn't been that big of an issue in a sense of switching things around. But I would say that just the structure is probably the biggest thing that we needed when we walked into Two Brains.
And so what was that process like of having to streamline your offer and kind of focus in on, offering these two things? How did you make them come together? And then how did you get your staff on board?
I would say just kind of we knew that's what everybody here started off as. We all were personal trainers. So we knew the value of it. So it wasn't like it was a group trying to go to personal. We knew the value of it. The biggest thing was just, I just change how I talk to people. Hey, look, you obviously have some habits that we need to break, and short term isn't going to create anything for you. So we need to build habits for, and we came up, when you said the 90-day challenge, kind of what we focused on. We came up with, hey, look, 3 months, it's what it takes to really build anything into it. The first month you're getting into it. The second month you're starting to get the ball rolling. And the third month you're really getting moving. And that's when you see the most changes. So we started talking long term, hey, you're going to do it long term wise. If you're just shooting for a quick fix, go to the 21-day fix, off the internet, but you're not going to keep it. You know that, I know that. So what we do here is we offer something to help you get over that hunch of the first 21 days where it gets really hard and you're kind of trying to change things and you need that support. And then we help you push through that so that by the end of the 90 days, you build these habits that stick with you rather than fall off after, 2 to 3 weeks.
Right. So you're kind of answering my next question, which is great. Now, what is the sell and how do you sell it? Tell me about the front end offer that you guys have now after the mentorship.
It really is it's the main focus is PT. Is to say, look, we know that we have to have personal training. We know that people are most successful personal training for at least 3 months. That's just how we've done it. I've been doing it for 12 years, and I know for a fact this is what gets people successful. And the process kind of goes through the no sweat intro idea, and then we present. I'm like, this is what we have, and I show them personal training. It's changed because we begin to use HSN. So now I just talk to them about how if you don't have nutrition with the fitness, it's not going to matter. Like, you're not going to see the results you want. So what we do is we teamed up with, a dietitian, and we have now a nutrition coach that's separate from the fitness coach. That way the fitness focuses just on the training, and the nutrition coach focuses on nutrition, and it gives you a point of contact with somebody who knows everything about nutrition-wise. So any questions, and we dial it into you and customize everything to exactly your goal. The sales have been probably the same each month. They haven't really changed. My close rate is probably lower than a lot of people's because, we're asking for $460 a month for 3 months to everybody. But at least the people that are doing it, like, the returning rate is pretty good, the retention rate is pretty high, and they're getting better results than just being shoved in a class.
So I just want to clarify that for everyone listening. So what you do is you do a 90-day program as your front-end offer, and it's personal training for all those 90 days. Like, that's, I guess the do you have any tiers in terms of the amount of personal training, or how do you structure it?
So we have 3 times a week and twice a week is our main focus on those. We got 30 minutes and 45 minutes. Like I tell everybody, the biggest thing is, and we just experienced it, I've had people do this, even if they get 30 minutes, it may not be a lot of time, but it's much easier to upsell somebody on just the next $120 than it is to upsell them on 460. So if they see 340, they go for it, cool. After a month, you can probably talk them into upgrading because they only have to spend another $120 to get there. So we have 2 times a week, 3 times a week. We have one I wouldn't show anybody yet unless it was like that last little bit where they were thinking about it and they just kept pushing the money concept, and I would say, we can cut this in half and do some 1 time a week if you want to.
Awesome. Okay, great. So your front-end offer, it's 90 days. It's all PT. They have to do it. But you did mention, I think before we hopped on, people can add on group classes, correct, later on?
Yes. So after the first month, like when we sit down and dealt with them for one full month, I just feel more confident than coming into classes and be able to do the thing you're supposed to do. And so that's kind of what I was thinking about. I always preach foundation. Look, if you have a house, great foundation, you're golden. You buy a house, crappy foundation, no matter how fancy it looks, the issues will come, and then you're going to pay for it in the end. So let's make sure that we're not throwing someone into doing something and have them getting hurt, or, I don't want to say scaling is really bad or regression wise, but it is kind of, you walk in, everybody's doing something, and then the coach comes over to you and says, no, you can't do this, you have to do this. Kind of separates you from the class a little bit. So my concern is kind of like, hey, look, if we get them right, they walk in there, it's more smooth. They don't have to change as many things. They won't feel like they're the newbie and stuff like that. They'll just be like, hey, cool, I'm part of it. I can do what they're doing. Have a little more confidence doing it.
I like what you said about the foundation there, because it's going to hurt you in the long run. One, the person, the client, right? If they don't have a good foundation, they're at a greater risk of getting physically hurt themselves. But 2, it's going to hurt you as the business owner in the long run too, because even if they leave, just like, it just wasn't for me. Like, even if it's not like some nasty review outcome, that's still more time, energy, and effort you have to go through to replace that person. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, it's all that energy and time and money is still going to be detrimental to you, right? It removes your focus. So it's bad for both parties involved. So I think what you said is awesome, and I love that it's 90 days and it's one-on-one. One of my partner Ashley, we do a lot of one-on-ones as well, and our groups are, if we do have groups, they're small, like they're capped at 8 people. So I think that's I think you're totally right on that. So how is your space laid out where you can fulfill both those services at the same time?
We're very crunched. Like, it's not ideal. That's why we're going to bigger spots, guys. It's just, the truth is we have 2 people training, we're good. As soon as a third person doing one-on-one comes in, if there's class going on, we're cramped. And so that's kind of been a limiting factor in like the next, I would say, growth phase. And my biggest thing was, what can we do to add on? So we added nutrition with HSN, but I want to add on small group, like capping it at 3 or 4 and like solidifying the new space. So we'll have a section for PT that'll be good and open, a section for small group, and a section for large group. But this is not a good layout. It's really not. It looks terrible.
Well, You're making it work. And it sounds like, yeah, you have an avenue now. And I think you're also doing it the right way, right? It's better to be in this situation where you've outgrown and now you're going to look for more space versus starting with a big ass space that you are desperate to fill, right? So that's awesome. We were talking a little bit about this before. In terms of your paid advertising system, it sounds like you don't have your finger on the pulse as much in terms of lead nurture, in terms of tracking some of these numbers, which, for those listening,
do
as I say, not as David say. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because, you've still got a positive ROI. You still are making money. You still are able to take advantage. And I think the lesson here and what I wanted to note on is I think it's because your package sizes are larger than average, right?
Yeah.
Like, are you the most expensive place in town?
No, definitely not the most expensive. I would say we force people to do the most expensive things compared to other people. That's how I would look at it as.
Nice. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and I think that goes that, you're able to make it up, right? Because your package sizes are larger and what you offer is a much more one-on-one high-touch experience. So with people, they're probably going to stay longer. I mean, your retention numbers are probably higher than average, and it's because it's one-on-one, it's because it's high-touch, and it's because, the barrier to entry is probably higher, so your sales are probably going to suffer, but it's worth it in the long run because people are going to spend more and they're going to stay longer.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing that we found out. I mean, it's hard. I would say it's hard. Like, I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, well, am I hurting myself by doing this? But if my goal is to, have more of a staff that has the ability to generate a good career income, because one of my biggest ideas was, how do we have, I would say maybe 2/3 of their income be from PT and the rest be from other stuff, so that when they have like the downturns in, like July or June was a big downturn for us, or let's say November, people start going on vacation or people start going to visit family, how do we keep their income from dropping below a certain level so that they're good all the time and then if they're great, it's great, but when it's an issue, it's still good. And so my idea is, hey, if we focus on PT and more higher income or more higher price tickets, we can afford to have them do other things and pay them well in that sense, so that they're having these good months, even though like they're technically bad months for the gym.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, and because they're fulfilling these higher ticket packages, you're able to sell. It sounds like you're able to supplement then with. Yeah.
So that's the idea. Is we can do other things for the gym. The CSM role was a big one that we're implementing. Actually having I would say GM that gets paid based on a percent of the profit, so that like people are actually wanting to do good and not just like, okay, I'm going PT. It's like, hey, let's have a business that really gives back to everybody as much as possible.
That's awesome, man. Tell me a little bit more about when someone actually sits down in front of you. What is your sales process? Because selling high ticket packages, people want to do that. People want to learn more. People want to be more confident in asking for them to spend $500 a month on personal training. So what is your process?
It's exactly the same thing, except for I don't ask if they're comfortable with PT group. I mean, literally, I just go down that list. I've been trying to figure out some things to ask, may help people get more emotional with it after we put them through the body test. And are you happy with these results? Like, is this something that you're happy with? And we usually get taught to say yes. And I think you mentioned is, but a no can be a powerful thing when they're talking about that. So I'm not that great at it, truthfully. And it could be a high ticket. I don't feel like I'm super good at it, but I just think it's like, hey, get told no 1,000 times, get used to it, and you'll be more confident to ask no matter what. So get told probably more often no than anybody else, but it doesn't matter. It's like, hey, look, I know it's going to be right for the person. If they're not ready to do it, they're in the up launch lead nurture. I've had 2 or 3 people come back from that, so it may be a year before they come back and ask for help.
No, I think that's great advice. It's building up that resilience. Like, yeah, you're going to hear the word no when you ask for them to finally, take the plunge. And yeah, you're probably going to hear the word no more often than you hear the word yes, especially as you're trying to grow. But as long as you're able to have the confidence and push through and know that, you're confident in what you're offering in the service, I think that's definitely really key for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you think do you have any advice for someone who's trying to switch to a more, who's been in group, doing the group model, who's trying to incorporate more personal training? Do you have any advice for someone who's trying to get started with that?
I think you have to really truly believe in it. It's like, I think I tell people all the time this, paying for Two Brain kind of makes me do things. And so if I'm paying for some one-on-one individual attention, I tend to do better with it. There's just nothing better than that one-on-one accountability. There's just nothing. You can't get it anywhere else unless you can't get that accountability from anybody except for someone you're paying for, because they have a really big invested interest in it. So you have to really, really believe it when you tell them, because that's the hardest part. It's like, hey, look, I know this is good for you, and I know you're not going to like this price. If you don't do it this way, you're going to have issues. So if you're fully invested in it when you're saying it, you're more likely to come off again more confident. And truthfully, like our CSM, she kills it. She just started doing this and she's killed it, but it's because she hasn't. I would say she didn't have the bias that I would have had of going through all the lower income stuff and just selling that and then trying to jump to a bigger income. I guess this is what we do, this is what we sell, so it's the confidence is way better. And then even for me, I still fight to this day sometimes to look and say, this person is not going to do it for you. And that changes your reflection on how you say it. Okay? You get nervous a little bit, you start to stumble, but if you're super confident, they receive it a lot better.
I think that's super important. Like if for anyone trying to get better at sales, it's regardless if it's high ticket or not, conviction is key. I mean, kind of been the theme of this conversation. You got into fitness to build your confidence. You're trying to teach that to other people who come into your gym. And I'm sure sounds like your staff too. It's very much a part of the culture to have that confidence, to have that conviction. And when you have that, it's gonna, that plays a big role in getting that person to know, like, and trust you, and then eventually purchasing that service from you.
Yeah. Yep.
So, it sounds like you've gone through a lot in just the 3.5 years you've been open. It's been quite the journey, but you're growing. You're moving to another bigger space. You're July, which is normally a really a tough month. It sounds like you're on target to hit your sales goals. So what do you think's been the key to success so far?
My team, I would say, like having the confidence in the people that we work with. They full 100% like believe in what we're doing. So having them on board is just can't get past that. I think that's like the number one key. Cause if you have the confidence in them and they have the confidence in you, then you're for sure that whatever you're doing, if you're selling the right thing. And then again, getting that structure down, like what do we do when this happens? How do we work with this handle? Who's doing what and why they're doing it really helps out.
I guess before we sign off here, tell me a little bit more about that. It sounds like you've got a great team behind you. It sounds like you're putting them first and have them in mind when you're making certain decisions, and you're passionate about making sure they're able to grow. What is your process for meeting with your team and checking in with them and getting everyone on the same page?
We just started doing more of like team meetings again. We did it for a while. We did it a couple of times, but we weren't really structured with it. I just started getting back into it, just being more communicative with them. I think the truth is just us being like on the same page. Like we all know what we want to do, and we all are sitting behind like the values, which is huge. Like, what do we want to do for the clients? Like, why are we doing this? Are we doing it right? And so I haven't had an issue with that, and I really haven't been good at the structure at all. Again, I think I've lucked out sometimes, but I think it's just, if we're all on the same page, it can be way better, and it will be way better. It's just that right now I lucked out with just finding people on the same page as me, and it's been easy to push forward because they want to push forward the same way.
Awesome.
The right people.
The right people, getting the right seats on the bus, or getting the right people on the seats on the bus, I think is sure. So if people want to learn more about your front-end offer, how you structure your 90-day, how you've added some of these new features like nutrition coaching, or they just want to learn how to sell PT, where can they find you?
So like my email is rapidfitmethod at gmail.com. I'm using that right now. And I mean, really, that's probably the best way to do it besides Facebook. It'll be pretty simple. I mean, the truthful, I guess all the stuff I'm saying is so simple. It's just doing stuff. I mean, that's really what it is. If I could find, it's really just simple. It's just taking your what you know should happen and like creating that, saying, hey, we're just going to do it, and then follow through with it no matter what, no matter how you feel, no how crappy it is at the beginning, like just go 100% into it and not allow yourself to backstep.
Awesome, man. Thanks for hopping on, man. It was awesome.
All right, appreciate it, man.